ahead and call this meeting to order. Thank you very much for coming, and first thing on the order is Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have our agenda in front of us. Are there any comments on the agenda? None? Okay, awesome. All right, so next up is Hear the Public. This is the public's opportunity to comment on non-agenda items to the board. I just want to remind everybody that the board by law is not allowed to respond. We are listening, but that would violate Montana's open meeting laws. Please be respectful during your comment. It will be limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name when you stand up. So, anybody for open comment?
I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
I do have two, things to give you guys. I don't know how to do that, so.
You can hand them to Dan.
All right, and it's just name. That's all. Okay. My name is Aaliyah Tremblay-Drynan. Okay.
Can you spell it? Did you get that, Jill?
I did not.
Okay, it's ALEIGHA, and then TREMBLAY-DRYNAN. Long one. Yes, of course. Am I good to go? Or?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Aaliyah Tremblay-Drynan, and by now you are undoubtedly aware of the outrage within the community regarding a teacher in your district. This is not a recent issue. It is a matter that has persisted for over a decade. I'm here today to formally demand accountability, transparency, and justice for the victims who have been ignored for far too long. Specifically, I call upon the board to immediately initiate a thorough and independent investigation into this teacher's conduct, disclose and release to both law enforcement and the public all records, complaints, and documentation concerning this individual from the start of his employment to the present day, provide an explanation as to why this board has failed to act despite receiving repeated and credible reports of misconduct. You have said you take complaints of this nature seriously, but the community has not seen it. By failing to intervene, you have knowingly placed children in harm's way and violated the trust in you by this community. Your own website declares that your duty is to provide each child with a basic system of free quality education as required by Montana law. Under MCA 20-7-111, this includes ensuring that students are taught by qualified and effective teachers. Yet you have failed to uphold this obligation. In fact, an investigation by EVMS administrators concluded that he violated Title IX standards of sexual harassment, defined as unwelcome conduct determined by a reasonable person to be so severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive that effectively denies a person equal access to the recipient's education program or activity. Despite this determination, you allowed him to remain in the classroom with children whom you are legally and morally obligated to protect. Between 2014 and 2017, I personally reported inappropriate behavior, including slow-motion videos and explicit comments directed toward a peer. Instead of protection, I was dismissed, labeled a liar, and even forced to apologize to him. My story is not unique. Others have endured the same treatment. Reports were ignored, victims were silenced, and this teacher was shielded. Why? Why has this board chosen to disregard the voices of its students? Why has this individual been protected while...
Yep, keep going.
Okay. Why has this individual been protected while those harmed were discredited? Is he more valuable to you than the students you are sworn to serve? The community deserves answers. The victims deserve justice, and this district must be held accountable. Parents entrust you with the safety and education of their children. That trust has been broken. And today I do not stand alone. I represent 555 members of this community who have signed a petition demanding action. Failure to act will only deepen the damage and further erode the public's trust in this district's leadership. The time to act is now.
Please wrap it up.
Okay, everyone is watching. We will not accept silence. We will not accept excuses. We will not accept inaction. Thank you.
Is there Anybody else who wishes to speak? Okay, please state your name.
My name is Anna Shipman.
I'm sorry, can you say the first name again?
Anna, A-N-N-A.
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Anna Shipman, and I imagine you're all fully aware of the frustration our community has displayed regarding a teacher in your district. This matter has been in limbo for over a decade, and I stand before you today to formally demand accountability, honesty, and action. These victims have been ignored for far too long. I specifically asked the board that they conduct an immediate third-party investigation into this teacher's behavior, make public and submit to law enforcement all documentation, reports, and complaints regarding the behavior of this individual from the beginning of his employment to the present day, and explain to his victims and the community why, as a school board, you have failed to act on any reports, given that there is at least a decade's worth of credible reports. Your duty as a school board, as explicitly stated on your website, is to provide each child with a basic system of free, quality education, as required by Montana law under MCA Montana Code Annotated 20-7-111. This also means that students are to be taught by qualified and effective teachers. You have continuously failed to uphold that. An investigation by administrators at East Valley Middle School concluded that he in fact violated Title IX, which is defined as unwelcome conduct determined by a reasonable person to be so severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive that it effectively denies a person equal access to the recipient's education program or activity. Even after this, you allowed him back in the classroom with the same children that you swore to protect. In the 2016-2017 school year, I personally reported comments he had made about my body in class and was punished by detention for my reaction. In the same school year, a group of students and I reported videos he had the previous year's students participate in. These videos consisted of his female students doing jumping jacks in slow motion to a song in the background. None of this assignment involved what we were learning in his curriculum. Why as students have we repeatedly been punished for speaking out on this adult's misconduct? Kids are supposed to have teachers as a safe space, not their first bully. There is an inherent power imbalance between teachers and students. Why are you allowing this individual to remain protected and continue shunning his victims? Is upholding your reputation as a district more important than the children in it you're sworn to protect? We deserve answers and we deserve justice just as much as we deserve a platform to speak out on. Parents entrust you with the safety of their children, and you're continuing to dwindle that by protecting him and silencing the victims. I am not alone in this. I stand for the 555 community members, parents, teachers, and victims who signed the petition demanding that something be done swiftly and thoroughly. There are no positives for failing to act. You will only continue to place children in harm's way and increase the public's distrust of our district's leadership. Now is the time to do something. One kid is too many, and it's far more than one child. We will not stay silent. We will not take excuses. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else wishes to speak? Going once? Twice? Okay, thank you for your comments. Okay, moving on to reports, administrative reports. Go ahead and start with high school. Paul?
Anyway, so you've got my report. Don't really have too much else besides that. What's in there? Obviously, we started the year off and it's been really, really busy and a bit of a whirlwind. But we're getting that feet on the ground here and moving along. Anyway, so I'll take any questions if you've got any.
Paul?
How's enrollment?
Hi.
You're hard to hear for some reason. I don't know why I was having.
Yeah,
He's
you
speaking
can.
quietly.
I'll talk loudly then.
Oh no, it's the accent.
So yeah, so we've got 608 students, including 66 in the academy this year. So remembering that we did shed a few students last year, one of the things that was noticeable, we dropped a few sophomores and juniors this year, just like a handful in total overall. But we've got this big massive freshman intake, of course. It's kind of counterbalance that. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. As what happens in the Helena School District, I guess when does the voting finish? Tomorrow? So yeah, so what happens here is going to probably impact us one way or the other, whether we want it or not. One of the, there's lots and lots of different scenarios that could happen here. I'll throw a couple out. Okay, they might decide not to pass the bond, which will mean that Helena Capital and Helena might join up together and have to work sort of one school in the afternoon, one in the morning, and then we'll have a whole bunch of kids, about 50 of them, I believe, in the high school, or I think it's like 20 to 50 students, who are actually East Helena kids, that are actually going to Capital or Helena, that might decide they want to come to school during the day, and we have to take them. So that's one scenario. I mean, another scenario might be that that's still going to happen anyway, if, for instance, they decide to bulldoze the school straight away. Then again, they might stay in the school, that's if the bond passes, and so everything will just kind of carry on as usual. Yeah, so I'm not sure. It'll be kind of fascinating, really. But yeah, but we're steadying ourselves for any eventuality, I guess.
I can tell you, my son, the first day of school said the hallways were more crowded than he remembered, so.
I can tell you why too. There's a simple reason for that. So one of the things we did this year was, and it's meant a little bit of pushback, so to speak, a little bit, is that we've made our seniors come to school. Okay.
Seems egregious.
Well, that'll do it.
Yeah, and then it's just you know, we've saying, you know, you got to do these classes, you got to be in school, you can do your online classes here in the building, and basically every parent has pretty much gone on board. I think I've had one parent that sort of says, yeah, no, my kids shouldn't be there in that last period that we did the circle up time, which is basically, you know, a set in study hall for kids. As well as the advisory period, which carries a lot more weight to it this year, which Trish is going to talk about in a minute. So I'm not going to bother talking more about that. Yeah, so that's the reason why. There's a lot more seniors in the building this year. That's why it feels for it. And obviously the freshman class. Excellent.
Any questions for Paul? All right, Trish?
Well, he stole half my word for it, so, no, I'm just kidding. One of the big changes that we made, we are really trying to reinforce those positive expectations of our students, and, you know, one of those is be engaged and be a graduate and be part of our school. And so we put in, at the end of the day, instead of having 8 class period options, our students have 7, but they have an advisory every other day and what we call Circle Up. And basically Circle Up is a time for students to meet with clubs, to meet with community members, to work on any missing makeup assignments, bless you. The first Friday of school, we had 100 athletes out. That's 100 kids that have 4 assignments they have to make up, or we have these kids that are involved in so many different things, they miss class all the time. And for teachers to try to manage a makeup lab, or a test, or a quiz, or help with instruction, this is a set time for every single kid in the building to get extra support, but then also be involved in multiple clubs without giving up before school, after school, and lunch. So it's been really positive. Once people know what it was, they mellowed out a little bit. They were really angry at us in the beginning, especially the seniors, because they didn't want to be here that late. But they figured out that this is a great time for them to meet with the Jostens rep. Or we had our advanced opportunity facilitator, Jill Hayter, talk to the entire senior class today about all of the internship opportunities that they had. So there is value to it. They're really buying into it. We have a few that are trying to leave to go to work, but we're getting that handled. As far as advisor, I had 5 awesome staff members who spent the summer with me creating lessons for the entire year. It is 0 prep for our teachers. They literally go in, click on the lesson, and the students complete the lessons. They include things like how to high school, advanced opportunity presentations, Infinite Campus, Indian Ed for All lessons, character lessons, ACT prep, anything that we can do to help our students be prepared for being a high school student is during that advisor time. And so kids have certain lessons that they complete while they're going through it. MTSS team is going to look at it in our meetings and adjust anything from here on out, but we have the entire first half of the year planned. And then we have enough lessons to get through the rest of the year as well, so it's 0 prep on our teachers. They literally just deliver the lesson and help our students. The other reason why we wanted to do this was it gives a point of contact for each high school kid that they stay with from the time that they are freshmen all the way through to their senior year. So it is a person that they can make a connection with. Having advisor every 2 weeks just wasn't enough time to make that connection. I mean, they barely saw the kids at that point. Already our teachers are saying, I know who my advisor kids are, I have this connection with the kids, and we're seeing a lot more of that one-on-one connection with staff members, which is really what we wanted. After that, as far as just discipline, we had 3 office referrals in the first 3 days of school, all with just general inappropriate behavior, and handled pretty easily, some phone calls home, but other than that, it's been a really smooth start to the year.
Questions for Trish?
Super cool idea. Thank you. And to just follow up on what Paul was talking about with the Helena Public Schools bond, if it doesn't pass and they do have to combine schools, what he's saying is those kids that live in our district that go to East Helena, or go to the Helena schools, there is the option to come back. They are our district students, we would need to take them. It's, the out-of-district kids still have to follow the out-of-district application. That's not something that would mess with any numbers for this year. But there are a few kids, especially that freshman class that went into the Helena schools, that, I mean, there is the possibility they would wanna come back should that happen. So, we're just thinking long-term and of all of the options, cause our classes, they're full. There's a lot of kids in them, so.
I've asked this before, but I was gonna ask, what was, the high school was basically built to handle what? Cause the alternatives, I'm not sure what we call it right now, didn't exist.
227, okay.
Yeah, so
I apologize.
That added 3 classes.
yeah, the number that we kind of bandied about when we added, after we added the addition was about 700.
It was like 640
Yeah.
plus 60, okay.
Yeah,
That's what I.
and so we're at what, 630-ish right now?
608.
Including the 227 when you add the 227?
Yeah, no, 608 total, but you gotta remember too, like, we now have, with our new hires this year, we have our first travelling teacher. That is a teacher that's in a classroom, we don't have classrooms. So we have one teacher that's travelling, we've probably got enough space to probably do another 5 or 6 travelling teachers after that, but then, yeah, we just,
Yeah, so we're out of like classrooms to expand into.
We gotta discourage education, this is, it's getting overwhelming.
Things are getting out of hand.
I can't believe you made everybody come to
They
school.
wanna all come to us, we're fine with that.
So I guess I'll just ask a follow-up, which is, so in your part, Dan, it says like East Helena School District's requesting enrollment in other districts. Are those new? Like what about, where are these 50 on that? 50 in-district students that are,
So the ones in the packet, yeah, so those come up on your board agendas every month as Jen receives them, correct?
oh, I got you, okay, so that's not existing, those are just new.
Those are just new this
Okay,
month,
I
right?
meant, gotcha,
Right, and,
I was just
just,
making sure I understood.
Tyrell was just actually kind of, we were having a side conversation here. I'll try and get a count for you guys this week of how many high schoolers are attending school, of our own resident high schools are attending school somewhere else, just so we would kind of know what that could look like, because I mean, we said could be as high as 30 to 50, but I actually don't know that number, so I'll find out for you and we'll let you know.
Thank
Is this self-reported?
Yeah, these are ones that have filled out the non-resident application, and so it comes from the receiving district.
Okay, so these are East Helena's requesting enrollment in other districts.
Yep.
Cause I know for a fact we did not have one ninth grader.
This month,
Okay.
so Jen got an application from Helena for one of our kids since the last board meeting for a kid to go there. And it's confounding to us that we keep getting them every month, because under the new policy and the way they wrote their policy, they should only be looking at it twice a year.
Okay.
And when we asked them about it last spring, they didn't respond. So apparently they take kids on a monthly basis when they apply.
So how does that work when like the tax situation goes through?
So the only ones, so we already paid they paid their bill. Jill, help me out. We got a check in the mail Friday
From Helena.
from Helena for
Yeah.
their kids that are attending school here. So the only students that get swept into the tax situation are the ones who were there on count day, either in October or February, and then we billed for those in July. So these ones that they're taking, they're not getting any money from us for them, because they're outside. And then, I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is this is the only year that we actually have to shift money between districts because of that, because of the law that was passed in the 25 session about county mill equalization, which that's some kind of voodoo magic that I don't know how it's gonna work, but that's the reason that they passed the law. So supposedly next year, we won't even have to
No?
bill for it.
Any other questions for Trish? Okay, Lindsay?
All right, EVMS is definitely up. We were kind of excited for our small group coming in, about 457. But now we are at 480 and we keep getting students every day. So we got one on Friday and we just welcome them in open arms. So that's kind of where we are. Where we're feeling it the most, honestly, is our counselor. We share Kevin with Prickly Pear, and he also does athletics, so we're kind of scrambling all the time, and Ray's getting just bombarded. So that's where we're feeling it the most right now. Other than that, we're having a great time. We're learning the rules. I love middle schoolers. You just never know what they're gonna do. They're my
That's true.
favorite, actually.
That is so true.
Okay. That was EVMS.
6'9", 6'8"?
Any questions for Lindsay? No? Okay, Michael?
All right, well, I'm glad Josh is here tonight, because I think we've talked about him, but haven't really put a face to the name. So Josh Ulaki is our new SRO, joining us for at least the next 6 weeks. Yeah, while Aaron's out on medical leave, but he's been doing a phenomenal job. I love his personality and just his drive to be with the kids and just build those relationships. He's just done outstanding. So we're really lucky to have him. So just wanted to put a face to the name with Josh. Otherwise, I'm really impressed with our student body this year. I didn't really know what to expect with the whole no cell phones this year, that we kind of switched from, you know, having them at lunch to now they don't have them at all, and they have responded really well. I'm really impressed with them. I don't even feel like it's been a change the way they've handled it. It's just been really impressive. So props to them. Teachers have been busy just establishing routines, procedures with them. They've been quick to pick up on those as well. I think all of August we had 2 general behaviors, and that was it for the month of August. So off to a really good start.
How's the new split block going? I know it's early, but.
Yeah, and maybe that's part of why things have been going so well. It's like there's just an urgency of when they get in class, all right, it's time to get to work because we have this smaller block now. I feel that with teachers and students, there's just that sense of urgency a little bit. We don't have the full 90 minutes now, so let's get down, let's get to business. And yeah, it's made the days fly by, I feel like, for everybody, but that's just my 2 cents. I don't know.
I agree. I think the 90-minute block, the teachers felt like they had a long time to do things, and now that they're split, they realize like you got to get in and be on time and get stuff done. And that engagement has gone up, I feel like, walking around. So we really like that 45-minute or that 90-minute cut 2 times a day. Really increased our engagement. And the kids haven't complained about it yet. I'm sure they will eventually, but.
The only thing I heard was the first day, Sid goes, like, got to my 4th period and I thought I was done, and then I went to lunch and then I have to start all over again. Oh, yeah, that's true. But she's used to it now.
Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
Like, dang it.
Now, your 3rd grade class must be 8th graders now, what? 7th?
7th grade.
7th grade.
My last 3rd grade class is 7th graders now, yeah. Yeah, I lost that advantage of really.
Yeah, for a while you knew everybody.
Any further questions for Michael? All right, Gus?
All right, so you folks have my board report. I just want to I can't say enough about our PTO here and just telling them how much they contribute to our schools. The newest addition to the playground has just been really well received, and I have not heard one word about tire slings since we got that new structure, which is a major blessing. But kind of the common theme across this table is just the new enrollments. It's very much present at Radley. Our 4th grade class currently is 27 kids per class, which is the accreditation standard is 28 for 4th grade, which is putting a burden on our teachers. They're full classrooms. And then shortly behind them is 3rd grade with 26 kids per class. I don't think there's any way to predict us enrolling 43 kids since last June. The previous year was about 8. So it's just is what it is. We were very careful with checking on proof of residencies, because we have been burned a couple times, we've noticed, and so we did our due diligence, and all these kids coming in provided everything that they needed to enroll with us. And so with that, it's just kind of come with the same challenges that Lindsay kind of highlighted. A few of our students, newly enrolled students, have some extra demands on our counseling and special ed departments. So we're really trying to get that family integration and get them, understanding how we do things here in East Helena to best support their kiddos, but also it's created quite the demand for those two departments in particular. But we're rolling with it. Hopefully we get some interventions in place and we can best support these new kids as we welcome them to East Helena.
When I first saw your board report, I was a little nervous about your first comment of your growing class sizes, but it sounds, because I feel like during all of our meetings, we're focused on, Eastgate and then the middle school and the high school, and you're just kind of floating through, but now you're feeling the crunch. But it sounds like it's a district-wide
Yeah,
thing.
it really is.
You talked about having an extra classroom though, Gus, if you needed it.
We do. Mr. Rispens asked administrators a couple years ago to really map out what it would look like in our buildings, and I would have to consolidate a couple things, but it would be, I could probably add one class per grade level, and we could still, because some of the folks on the board here probably remember when second grade was actually at Radley before Prickly Pear was open. That had 525 kids in the school. Not ideal to put kids full-time in the east basement, not much sunshine down there, but it is possible. So, well, maybe a few classes down there, I don't know.
I've made it through there.
Yeah.
That's how Carol turned out the way.
Yeah. But no, to answer your question, Tiffany, we could add a couple, or one class per grade level. I'd have 3 additional classrooms that I could convert and turn them into.
Would we have teachers?
Say that one more
Would we
time.
have teachers?
We would have to hire teachers, yeah.
Somebody
Any-
got it.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other questions for Gus? No? Okay. Great.
All right, good evening. In my board reports, I touched on a few things, reviewed some of the systems that we've put in place since I have had the opportunity for working for East Helena, which, hard to believe, this is my 6th year starting this position, which is also really exciting to reflect on some of that time. Hit on a few things we're doing with morning announcements and making some changes, just trying to get the 2 schools combined. And then I'll just echo and follow suit what some of the other administrators mentioned. So we definitely saw an uptick in enrollment this summer, more than we originally anticipated. And at Prickly Pear, there's definitely the feeling of pressure. At Eastgate, this is a unique year because typically we've seen a pattern of smaller kindergarten classes, and this year we're up about 30 kids. So again, to touch on what they said, there's a feeling of strain on resources in the classroom, but there's also that outside the classroom with the utility players, with the folks who travel between buildings, counselors and things like that. One additional thing that's unique to us as well is we house additional programs. So we have Head Start that has a classroom. This year they have 2 classrooms, and then we also have the Prickly Pear Co-op. So we've added about 30 more kindergartners, an additional section of Head Start. So Eastgate's parking lot is not going to get any bigger. And so the traffic flow in the morning and the afternoon is definitely a struggle, but we're working through creative solutions to assist things in the building, in the classroom, and with parking. So just really asking a lot of help from the parents and the community to follow our procedures, because when they are followed, it works better. It might not be the most ideal thing, but it definitely works a little better. So, yep. Any additional questions for either of my buildings?
Okay, thanks, Brandon. Help see Sean, so,
Sean at golf.
he's golfing.
The transit van broke down, so now we're using
Oh.
2 Suburbans to do the golf.
Can I mention one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
One more focus. I did ask some new staff to come here so I could introduce them
Oh, yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a really key thing. So Chelsea Smith and Alyssa Terry are 2 of our new paraprofessionals. They were not able to join, but we do have our new special ed teacher who has been a rock star since day one. And that's Mr. Jones, so he's also between Eastgate and Prickly Pear. So happy to have him on board. And then we have, she's going to come in, Bill little clap for her when she wants it.
She's already embarrassed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is Nicole Burgess, and she's joining us at Eastgates, joining our little ranching crew, so we're really excited to have her too. So I just wanted to have the opportunity for you to see some of our new faces.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm
Good, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm
Okay. Alright, Eric?
Evening. You have my board report. I don't have much to add on top of what's on there. Just trying to catch up with all the back to school tickets that have come up, and it's that time of the year, so I think we're doing pretty good right now. Following a couple things, we did implement a new enrollment setup for the high school to take some pressure off the teachers. Hopefully it'll make everything a little easier for them. That's about it.
Thank you. Well, that should conclude our administrator reports, so, I didn't miss anybody, did I?
Nope.
Alright, cool. So next up is the trustee and committee reports of the board. I don't believe we had any committees meet over the last month, did we, Dan?
We did not.
Okay, so go ahead and move on. Next is strategic planning and scan for future needs.
I don't really have anything earth-shattering to discuss on this topic, other than we've already talked a lot tonight about enrollment and crowding, and that's actually an agenda item, item number 3, under unfinished business. We'll get a chance to chat about it just a little bit more, so I think we can just address that.
Did we get our buses? Did they show up? The ones we ordered?
One.
Cool.
And no, it hasn't yet, but it should be here by the end of the month.
That's what they're saying. Alright, anything else for strategic planning? No? Okay, we'll see you again next month, probably with Scott again. Notifications of retirements and resignations.
And we had 3, and those are in your packet. We lost our at-risk tutor at the high school, and a kitchen aide and paraprofessional that have resigned.
Alright. You accepted on ours?
Yes. Cool. Those have been accepted on behalf of the board.
Cool. Alright, so moving on to the consent agenda. Normally there's no debate on consent agenda unless any board member wishes to pull an item. Does anybody wish to do so? Okay, and I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda items as presented.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Stacy motioned and Martin seconded.
Thank you.
Alright, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Catch up. Okay, next up, unfinished business. So, number 1 is central office relocation report.
Yeah, so this is just an opportunity for Jill and I to let the board know where we're at physically, and we are at the new office. We've been there since about early July. It's been kind of a process, getting all our stuff moved over there, but since the board took the action to approve the relocation of the business office and set a budget for it, we wanted to just report back and let you know that we're really enjoying the new space. It's working really well, actually better than I expected, so I have to kind of admit that maybe I shouldn't have drugged my heels for so long on the move. The space is bright, it's very welcoming. I think when staff or members of the public come in there, we get a lot of comments from folks that they appreciated or enjoy the new space. We did try to track our expenses as closely as possible in terms of what kind of costs we ran into, and I did include that in the supporting documents. We're a little over $9,000 in expenses. Probably a big chunk of that was furniture, and then we ordered new signs for those lighted signs that are out on the street and attached to the building, and those were quite a bit more expensive than we thought they were going to be, coming in about $3,500. We're not totally done with expenses. Some of the things that we decided to put off was like the fob door locks, the electronic door locks, just because the estimate for that came in way higher than we expected. I think it was like $14,000 or something.
I
So-
think it was higher than that.
Yeah, so we were, and the cameras were part of that too, so we kinda put that to the back burner for a little bit until we had some time to kinda examine that and decide if it was A, would be worth it, and B, if there was a way that we could bring those costs down. So for now, we're just old school using keys, and we don't have any security cameras at central office, so I didn't say that very loud. But we didn't at the other central office either, so it's not like, that's really changed. Overall though, it's been a great move, it's very successful, and, I just wanted to put it out there in case any trustees had any questions or comments. Jill, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, you didn't put our new cars on here
Oh, the new cars. No, forgot about that.
Yeah.
I left that off the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great, cause what was the total approved for this? Wasn't it just around 10?
I thought it was 20 or 25, I can't remember. Was it 25?
though. I know it was 25.
Yeah. So we were able to beat that by quite a bit. We just didn't wanna get careless with money with that quote, cause Eric and I were both kinda shocked at the price, so we thought maybe we'd wanna go back with the vendor and kinda go back through what they were projecting, and also see if there were some other options that we could look at. We even talked about just getting some Ring cameras in there and using those for now, cause they're not too expensive,
Yeah.
but. So we're exploring options on that to try and keep those costs down.
The security of it might be the most striking thing when you go over there, you're like, oh, the old one was like,
Open?
yeah, it's just strange, like,
Yeah.
then you realize like, oh, it's too bad that that's this day and age, but like, it probably is okay to have a little foyer.
Yeah, and it works good, and I still think it feels welcoming, it's just, it is a little more, secure, yeah.
Tell us about the old building.
Well, we don't really have a plan yet, so I've been talking with Scott about it. I think what we'll end up doing is kind of brainstorming some ideas for the ways it could be used. And then, possibly the board has I think a facility and infrastructure committee, and I thought maybe we'd get those folks together and we'd, come up with some, and it may be like multiple uses. So, I mean, I have lots of ideas, I just don't know how feasible any of them are, but.
World's largest ant farm.
One of the things, so we had obviously Steve would like office space out of the Radley basement. And so it's possible that we could put a maintenance office in there. It's a pretty good sized building. We've also talked about a possible off-site location for longer term in-school suspensions to avoid out-of-school suspensions, so that it could be a place that we staff. And if a child needs to be out of the school environment for more than, say, a day or two, and but we don't want to just send them home to play video games the whole time, we send them to old central office, but we come up with a meaner name for it than that. So that's one thing that we talked about. One idea that I think would be kind of fun, but I think it might turn into animal all its own, is we had a counselor a few years ago who really was looking for space in the district to put together a secondhand clothing place where kids could go, where folks could bring like their kids' school clothes that they outgrew and donate them, and we could have them there for kids who maybe need a backpack or a new sweatshirt or other kinds of things, to be able to go in there and shop and get some nice new, not new things, but new to them things that, you know, they could take home and have for school. So that's something that might be a really cool community thing, but I think I'd be looking for a high school service club to take it on and manage it, you know? So those are just some ideas about how we could use the space. It's still, the building's totally solid, it's got good heat and air conditioning, and it's still pretty functional, so we just have to figure out what the best use of it is for the district. We'll work through it, but we still have, well, mostly it's the superintendent's office, still has a lot of junk in it that needs to be cleaned out, so, Jen and Jen went over and cleaned out most of the rest of it, so it's in pretty good shape right now, so.
All right, well, thank you for that, appreciate it. Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Okay. So next up, the second reading policies are 3141, 3310, and 8560. If there's no issues, the board, I would like to accept all three of them on second reading under one motion, if that works, unless there's commentary on them? Okay, then I entertain a motion for accepting the 3 policies as presented.
Make a motion to present the 3 policies as presented.
Okay, Tiffany,
Second.
Mark seconded. Okay, any comment from the board? Any comment from the public? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so ones are there for you, Dan.
Alright, thank you.
Okay, unfinished business, item number 3, enrollment report and start school update.
Okay, so we, like I said, we already kind of hashed over some of this stuff, just with, back and forth between trustees and administrators during the administrative reports. This is kind of an opportunity for us to talk with the board just about how the first week of school went. Obviously, if you look at the enrollment report that was part of the supporting documents, our numbers are up. Our count when we put this together last week was 2026. When we dismissed school last June, we were at 1959, so that's significant growth. We anticipated some of that because we added an additional Little Lanties classroom this year, correct? We went from 2 sections to 3.
We had 3 last year.
Oh, we had 3 last year, okay, forget that. So we anticipated some growth. I don't know that we thought our numbers would be quite that high. Like Brandon was saying, the kindergarten enrollment a month ago was starting to knock on the door of the 140, 150 range, and that's getting to be a pretty big grade level in the district. Our previous 2 kindergarten classes were quite a bit smaller than that.
We had didn't we have kind of a paradoxical decline last year?
We
though?
did. It was actually weird, and we questioned it all year, because the K-5 enrollment was down last year, and the high school enrollment was up, and that trend seems to be reversing. I can't really say what's contributing to it, other than the obvious fact that there's a lot of new houses in the district. And like, we might have talked about it in the August or July board meeting, but Habitat for Humanity in particular dedicated 6 homes over here in Highland Meadows. And that was right at the end of July, beginning of August. And Jacob told me at the time that between those 6 families, there were 19 school-age children in those 6 homes. So
That's
there's
way more than our 3rd kid per
yeah,
house.
right. Yeah, your 0.26 factor.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little higher than that. So, so obviously that's a factor. But there's a lot of other new homes in the district, both here at Highland Meadows, out at Fox Crossing, and out on Spokane Creek Road. It's a subdivision off Ames Lane, but I can't remember. Yeah, Heron Creek. So we're seeing the results of that, and part of it, if you talk to the bus drivers, their buses are full or fuller coming in, so we're getting more ridership. So it's not any one part of the district, it's all over. And so I was hoping that the principals could talk a little bit more just about section sizes and where you're at in relation to state standards, because this will be an ongoing conversation that the board's gonna wrestle with this year in terms of our facilities, and if and when we feel compelled to try and take action, or if we feel like we are gonna try and manage enrollment by limiting non-resident, or even telling current non-resident students, you can't come back. And because I feel like we're getting really close to the point where that could be a reality for us next spring, at least at some grade levels. So I don't know if we want to start with elementary and just hear a little bit from Eastgate, Prickly Pear, and Radley from you guys, where you're at numbers wise. The one thing that we always kind of hang our hat on is that the board adopted definition of quality as 2 below the state standard. And I think in some grade levels now, we're kind of toying with being 1 below state standard. And so I asked Brandon and Gus to kind of chat a little bit about that. And they already talked a little bit about available space in their building, so go ahead.
Yep. And Little Lanties is a little bit different because we don't necessarily have state accreditation standards. It's more specifically about ratios. So I mean, I guess it is, but it isn't. So like our ratio for intents and purposes, pre-K is 1 to 9. So we have about 17 kiddos per class, though we have a teacher and a parent in every classroom. So we're right about there. Kindergarten, like I mentioned before, is definitely the most we've had quite a bit, we're sitting at about 18 to 19 per class, and the accreditation for K through 2 is 20 per class. First grade, things are getting pretty tight, same thing, 18 kiddos, some have 19. Second grade, if we had room for growth, that would definitely be it, but of course, throughout summer, that's not the way things panned out, we saw the majority of our growth in first grade. So, we're right about that threshold with the 2 under accreditation for kinder and first, and then second grade, we have just a little bit of room, but.
Yeah, Brandon pointed out to me this summer that this group of kindergartners could be the COVID baby boom, if there is such a thing, so.
It's always been a joke, but then they show up at your front door, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe it's real.
This is a thing I guess, yeah.
Mark?
I just remember when I was in 4th grade, there was 36 of us
Yeah.
upstairs in the Main Street School. I think they just did that so they could humiliate me in front of more people. But I was willing to oblige, but it was crowded. There was no room for extra chairs, and I think maybe they moved mine out in the hall or something. So,
Corner?
yeah, it was a monitor.
No.
Yeah, they gave me a job.
Terminal excuse.
So where were you at in second grade number wise?
So we have 132, so that's about 16 to 17 per class.
16,
And last year, second grade was a big number, so it's ebbed and flowed a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other specific questions for enrollment?
No, like,
Anything else I can touch on?
in terms of, you talked a little bit about Eastgate. At Prickly Pear, I can only think of one vacant classroom that's got some storage items in it. If you had to free up other classrooms by moving tutors around, could you? And what would that look like?
Yeah, so in our first grade hallway, we have one room, so we went from 8 sections down to 7 sections 2 years ago. So we have that room that's essentially vacant. It's storage, but it'd be pretty easy to convert back into a classroom. At the end of the first grade hallway, that's also our regulation room, so that could be moved. That's also a room we utilize for students who just need help with regulation throughout the day. So the goal is for those students to have that opportunity to receive that support away from the classroom, so the teacher that's given the classroom can continue to teach and learn while that student gets what they need. So you could move that room, but then you're also kind of removing a pretty key service that we have in the building. And then at the end of the second grade hall room, it's like a scene from Hoarders. It's just like everything has been put into that room, so you could convert it into another classroom. I think we would have, I don't know, 2 or 3 board games go through obsolete equipment that are stored in there. So there's quite a bit, but I mean, at the end of the day, there's classrooms and there's ways to be creative to free up classroom space. And it kind of goes back to Tristan's question, then you just have to hire the teachers for it and stuff.
Right. How about you, Brad?
Yeah, so I touched on it a bit. Brandon said that the state accreditation for K2 is 20, which then once you get to 3rd and 4th grade, it jumps all the way up to 28. So, pretty significant jump from 2nd grade to 3rd grade, and I would say that 4th and 3rd saw the most new enrollments, where we are sitting at 27 kids per class in 4th grade. And then 3rd grade is close behind them with 26. 5th grade's staying pretty steady. I think we only added about 5 kids in 5th grade, so they're sitting at 25. But in 5th grade, it jumps up to 30. So 5th grade all through senior is 30 kids per class. Yeah, we do a lot of the similar things that Brandon just talked about. What I would typically do is we have 3 of our Title I team members in full-size classrooms right now, and they don't necessarily need full-size classrooms. And what we've already moved 2 of our instructional tutors to that east basement, because in their schedules, they're running interventions all throughout the day, cycling kids about 45-minute interventions. And so that would be more ideal classroom space for our instructional tutors, because our kids are trapped in the basement all day. And then those classrooms could be converted into your general ed classrooms. So we do have space. We certainly where the challenge would be is in our master schedule, getting kids specials. Because if we add an additional section at each grade that kind of dismantles our current master schedule for their library, their PE, and their band or music. So we probably have to add a specialist into the mix as well. But it's certainly doable. But we're feeling it particularly in fourth and fifth grade, for sure.
Good point. How about middle school?
So we are, so sixth grade's an average of 27, their core classes are about 28. The reason why they're at 27 is because band school years, so that takes away from some of the elective classes. For seventh grade, they're at 26 because they also have jazz band, honor choir, and yearbook, which takes away some of that load for others, but their cores are at 28. And then eighth grade's at 25, and they have all those things that I mentioned, plus they have Spanish 1 and Intro to 8. So those are full year classes as well, so that takes away some of the load, but their core classes are also at 28.
Wow. So you're right there?
In building schedules, it's kind of a puzzle right now to keep classes under 30 in a lot of classes. Props to John Cantrell, he has 56 eighth graders in band right now. And
his choice.
It is his choice, and that's the other side of it too, is man, if we had too many, or if we have many more, we're gonna have to break it up into 2 sections. But then we have to talk about eliminating jazz band for one of his periods, and he didn't wanna do that, which I don't blame him. I mean, he's got a good thing going there, so.
Yeah. Wow, that's a big group.
It is.
And that creates other problems for the schedule when you have that many
It does.
kids going to one room at one time. Yeah, I've experienced that. What about available space? Like the only vacant room might be the food room?
Have we had any luck on finding a foods teacher?
No. You doing anything the rest of you?
Making food.
All right, yeah.
Have a board.
Right.
Can I ask a teaching? Can I ask a
Foods and
question?
nutrition.
Yeah, any questions from the public?
Yeah, good job for the nurse.
Right. So the other part of the class sizes have to stay below 30, but also teachers' class load per day has to stay below 150. Do you have any teachers who are currently assigned more than 150 students per day?
No.
How close are you to the 150? Besides John Hedrick?
Right.
Well, because we're still in the block, basically, but we just broke up the block, so they're still under 150.
Because they have 5 classes a day, or 4 classes?
Any other
Good
questions?
Yeah.
Mark?
I just, it seems like, and I don't know how many years ago it was, we actually in the middle school had a 9th grade class occupied, and all that space is used up and is
Yeah.
filled with,
Yeah, in fact, their numbers now are similar to what our numbers were
with
in
that,
2019. I'd have
with
to
that 4th grade.
dig back through records to get that for you, but
Wow.
we were actually talking about that, last spring, Lindsay and I were, so.
2019.
Yeah, I think so. 19 would have been,
I got 20.
1920 would have been the year that we had the freshmen at the middle school. Remember that?
This is the 5th actual operating year of the high school, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be 20 then. I have that, I got that here.
That's awesome.
What about, so obviously we don't have foods and nutrition right now because we haven't had an applicant. Shop classes are full, partially full,
Max.
Yeah.
We have lots of kids that want in, but we just don't have room for
don't have spots for them.
any of our CTE stuff.
And ag, how's that enrollment going?
She's high, she has 3 sections of 26, 27, and 28, I think.
Wow.
At one, she was at 30, for the high school credits, so we're not even doing elective or intro to, ag anymore with 6, 7, it's fully the high school credits.
Okay.
So many farmers coming. Mark, it's
Right,
gonna be
you wait.
so many farmers coming.
Yeah, well,
We just won't know how to cook it.
we're getting tired out here. I'm looking for the replacements.
Yeah. How about the high school?
Oh man, okay, so we have our freshman cores are big.
Yeah.
They're just big. It's 180 freshmen divided out amongst your
Right.
core classes. The interesting thing is freshmen have to take 5 cores, it's the only grade level where they have to have 5 core classes, and so they only have 2 electives. By dropping to a 7-period day, we actually opened 180 seats in electives because you don't have freshmen that have to have full schedules that don't have licenses taking up seats. So some of our electives have gone down, but like our freshman English, math is a little bit interesting because there's 3 different levels of math that they could take. So those math classes are a little bit smaller, but our English classes are really big, about 28 a class. We did have one at 30, but then her other class is at 24, something like that. So it balances out. I think the biggest puzzle we were trying to figure out was our juniors now, instead of just our freshmen and sophomores, they have the higher graduation credit requirement. So they have 23 credits instead of 22 credits to graduate. So that adds in an extra year of math. And so our math classes have actually gone up as well because kids have to take 3 years of math instead of just 2. So we have 5 English teachers teaching every option of English that we have for the 4 years that they're required for English. And then it drops down to 4 science teachers, 4 math teachers, 3 social studies teachers, just because of the requirements for graduation. Our ag classes are incredibly popular and growing bigger every single day. And so there may be a point where we say we can't split our ag teacher with the middle school any longer because we need to have the class options, especially for our FFA students. The same is true of any of our CTE classes. Miss Nelson's culinary classes are massive. She's sitting at between 20 and 24 in some classes. The fine arts classes are big as well, just because they need to get their fine art credit. The nice addition of Mr. Bass's History of Rock and Roll has helped with some of our kids that aren't artists, don't want to do band or choir. They can get their fine art credit in what is History of Rock and Roll into music theory next semester, so they can get their credit that way. And he's got some kids that are wanting to actually start more of the modern band class, which is really great. And then our support classes, we do not have study halls any longer because they have that circle of time. That's part of their study hall, so we actually have more kids in classes, which is why we have some other classes. We had 300 kids take the study halls last year, which is a non-credit class.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Questions?
We have no room for classrooms, by the way. We already have one travel
Right,
teacher.
right.
And that person I was able to schedule into classrooms where the teacher is a 227 teacher, so they're in the 227 wing instead of having the empty classroom or taking up a classroom during a teacher's prep, because we want to make sure that they can still use their classroom during that prep. I don't think we're going to have that option should we add any more traveling teachers.
Are our 227 teachers strictly just 227 at this point?
Not at the high school, no.
Not high school.
They teach different numbers of classes, so Mr. Reed teaches 2 sections of social studies, but then he's also a high SED teacher. And then Shelby Holmes teaches 1 class period down of science. Mr. Moore teaches 2 English courses down in the 227. And then Nicole Hash teaches 2 sections down in the 227, the rest of their schedules in high school.
Just to keep you in mind in that, in terms of what she means by sections, she's just talking about the actual class period.
Classes.
Inside of their class, for instance, Mrs. Moore actually teaches 4 years of English.
In 1 class period.
Yeah,
So it's like a multi-grade,
yeah, and also different semesters.
yeah, wow.
And the science is the same. Shelby does 2 classes. Alex does 2 classes. No, he does 3. He does US government, US history, and also global studies.
Okay.
Across different semesters. So it's they're busy down there.
Awesome. Other, I don't know, questions, thoughts?
Of all these high school students, any prospects for a student board member?
Yes,
Yes,
we have
actually.
one.
Cool.
We'll be looking at an appointment next month.
That's great, yeah.
Super excited.
Are there any other questions from the board? Questions from the public?
I have the same question. Do all of your teachers have less than 150 students on their campus?
Per day for
Per day.
block, yes.
Yeah.
The only one that's getting close is home bas, but it's music.
Right. And, their advisory class, are teachers required to grade?
No, because we have it set up for them. Yeah. We wanted to make that zero prep,
Yeah.
zero prep for them. It's pass fail.
Yeah, they do the work or they don't.
All right, does that wrap that one
Yeah,
up?
it does, that's just, it was an information item. Definitely, like I said, we expected some growth. The numbers that we're looking at right now are kind of outside the realm of what we've seen the last couple of years. And so, you know, like we said, possible COVID baby boom that's finally hitting the schools. It's possible that some families that decided to homeschool their kindergartner at the start of COVID, and that child is now in 4th or 5th grade, they might be like, okay, I think it's time to bring this kid to school. And then obviously just families new to the district. And do you guys have any thoughts, observations on that, or is it just kind of a hodgepodge when you're dealing with new enrollees, like?
For Radley, it's kind of a mixture of a bunch of different circumstances. We did get quite a few kids from Helena that are just moving out to the valley, East Valley, just because that's where the growth
Homes
and
are.
homes are. But we got some out-of-state kiddos too. And then I know for a fact we got 3 homeschool students who enrolled at Radley. So yeah, it's kind of a hodgepodge of, as far as south as Louisiana, we got a Louisiana and a Missouri family.
Wow.
That moved up to Montana. They watched Yellowstone and said, let's go.
Nice.
I can't confirm that.
Nice.
Any other questions?
If they offer to take you to the train station.
All right, well, with that, we better move on. So the next up is new business, the summer maintenance update.
All right, this is kind of a standard annual report. We'd like to just highlight some of the work that got done in the district over the summer. There was a one-pager in your packet that actually included a picture of the playground structure that Gus talked about earlier that's new on the Radley playground. That was a pretty fun project because PTO took that on and paid for the structure, and then the district agreed to pay for, well, we paid for the shipping on the structure and the installation, which almost cost about as much as the structure. But playground equipment is kind of a tough thing because a lot of contractors won't touch it because of liability.
Sure.
So we went through Montana School Equipment, the vendor that we've used a lot, and they have their own contractors that come in and do the install, and it just is a lot more clean and neat to get it done that way. So it was pretty neat to upgrade the playground that way, so I was pretty excited about that. Some other big projects is we got part of Radley's roof repaired, and Gus can vouch for this, but it was to the point where every time rain was in the forecast, they just knew where to put the buckets in the office and down the hall and various classrooms. And so it was time to address part of that. We were only able to do part of it this year, and then and that was the worst part. And then we're hoping that we can finish it next year. They did add some insulation, some dense deck insulation before they put the new membrane down, but it looks great. And so we're super excited about that. Plus, they said when they pulled off the old roof, they found rotten boards, well, spots where they could see right through into the building, areas where there's absolutely no insulation at all. So it was high time to get that addressed. So I'm pretty excited that we were able to get that done. We did upgrade the flooring in the cafeteria hallway at EVMS, and we went with a vinyl plank. Steve and I have been talking about that for a couple of years, and we were kind of nervous about it because we thought it might be pretty noisy. But it actually is, I think it's great, and it looks pretty nice, and we think it's gonna wear a lot better. What happens in that particular hallway is kids go in and get their food for lunch, and then they have to go to their team meeting or their club meeting or something, and they leave the cafeteria, and then we have, you know, unintended consequences of that. And so the carpet, you know, you could put new carpet in it, and 3 years later it was stained pretty badly. So, we're hoping that this will be easier to address. Steve said it is quite a bit easier maintenance for the custodians, so. So if you happen to be at EVMS, definitely check that out, because if it's successful this year, we might look at going that direction with the other side hallway as well in the future.
It's nice.
Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? We have a summer maintenance crew that works really hard just taking care of the property. We're to the point where we have a lot of real acreage that has to be managed and maintained, from spraying weeds to mowing grass, and just the sprinkler systems alone are really almost amount to a full-time job, just taking care of them and keeping them going. We did get our gym floors resurfaced like we do every summer. We had some pretty major air conditioning repairs, and the office air conditioner at Radley went down and needed repair, and that was a surprise to us. The chiller at EVMS has been problematic for a lot of years, and our contractors who've worked with us on it have been telling us that it's probably near the end of its life. And so that may be a major capital project that we decide to try and address going into next year. Steve and I have been talking about going through the process to get bids for that replacement. Other than that, it was just a lot of regular filter upgrades and replacements, and just to kind of share with the board the work that the summer crew does, and hopefully as you get into the buildings this fall, you notice some of that stuff and can appreciate it. So that's really it.
Cool. Are any questions for Dan? Questions from the public? Oh, thank you, Dan, appreciate it. Definitely noticed some new stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up is the summer school report.
Okay, so we offer a pretty robust summer program anymore for kids coming into kindergarten all the way through 11th grade, going into their senior year. And this year, and for the past couple years, Gus has taken on the lion's share of the work with the elementary kids and what is now called Jumpstart, which is the literacy program for our K-3 kids. And Lindsay has taken on the lion's share of the work with the 6 through 11 kids. And most of the, I guess the simplest way to explain it is with our youngest kids, summer school is an opportunity to try and make up for lost skills or get a, like it's called, a jump start on the next school year. With our kids in middle school and high school, it's more of an opportunity to regain credits that maybe weren't earned during the regular school year. So it's a little bit of a different focus. And I just asked Gus and Lindsay to talk a little bit about their enrollments, how things went, their calendars, facilities that were used, those types of things.
Hi, sir. Yeah, it was a little bit different this year because we placed a lot more emphasis on Jumpstart students. Before, our Summer Pals program was kind of a teacher referral system, and we still certainly did a teacher referral system for grades 4 and 5. But Jumpstart, you have to, as a district, you had to create how students qualified it, and we just used a composite percentile rank. Any student who scored this percentile or below qualified for the service. And so the long and short of it is we enrolled 153 students, technically K-6, which is really high. I've been doing it for, I think this was my 4th year doing it, and that was by and large the largest collective group that we've had. With that, you know,
probably the best attendance.
It was really well attended. And we were able to not only work on remedial content, but also provide enrichment opportunities for these kids as well. We once again partnered with the East Helena Pool to provide swim lessons every Friday. We took about a weekly field trip. One of the best ones since I've been a part of the program was to the First Peoples Buffalo Jump in Home, Montana. They actually had staff, state what do you call them? Not troopers, goodness gracious.
Historical or?
Yeah, sorry. But they actually had workers there to help lead some different learning stations where they played traditional Native American games. They went on a hike to the actual buffalo jump, and everybody was safe, but they ran into a rattlesnake, and the state worker captured it and put it in a
It was the park ranger, she was there.
Park ranger,
She was
thank you.
vigilant, yeah.
Brain fart.
You're good.
Mrs. Jones was there.
I was there. I was glad the park ranger was there, yeah.
But that was kind of an exciting experience to see a rattlesnake get, captured in the wild. And
Where'd they
kids
go?
got to see it. Right outside of Old Montana.
I mean, where they put the snake?
Oh, in
it
the
was
garbage
on the, it was on the hiking trail, correct?
Right, and they put it in a garbage can.
Oh,
Yeah, let all
sorry.
the kids peer in and look at it, yeah.
They just threw it away?
Oh, no, she took it back behind, they have a place where they release them, but let all the kids see it
Yeah,
first.
It's cause it's probably a dumpster.
On Tuesdays, they did a team, teacher teams would pair up and lead a STEM activity for the entire group. Bridge design, designed a boat to hold the most weight, tallest tower that was self-standing. The long and short of it was really well attended. We had a large group of students, and we were able to employ the largest staff that we've had since I've been a part of it.
Yeah.
So it was really good. And then from a data collecting perspective, I took all of the students' data and we did a math and reading assessment at the end of the program and compared it to their spring scores. And about 85% of the student body either maintained or got higher scores than they did in the spring. So I think that's a pretty solid. Now, we would like to see 100%, but I think they are much better and more equipped and ready for the start of the school year. That was a couple weeks ago as being a part of that program.
Is there tuition associated with that?
Say that one more.
Is there a tuition associated with it?
Yes, so there was with our 4th and 5th graders, because that was our traditional summer PALS program. So the K2 students, if they qualified, did not have any tuition.
Because we get a state A and B payment for the little ones.
Yeah, and it was a very small fraction of students, maybe 20 of those students are full, and we do a sliding scale fee. If you were full pay students, then you paid tuition. Reduced lunch status students paid half of the tuition, and then if you were free lunch status, you got the program free.
Good deal.
So we did competency-based for middle school, high school, which meant like they had to get through certain standards for the week or work for so many lessons through the week, and then if they got through their lessons where they're supposed to be, they got Friday off. But most kids wanted to work on Fridays so that they can be done early after passing their assessments. So we had one student who actually came, he really wanted to go to Utah and graduate early so he could go help his uncle on the farm. So he either was gonna go homeschool for 2 classes, or we could let him do the 2 classes in the summer, do proficiency based with him, so he could go and so be done and graduated early. So we had one like that. And then we had 43 students that did their HPE credit with Mr. Murray. They came to agility 80% of the time, and so they did other activities as well to make sure they were hitting those standards. Then we had 15 ELA credits given out, 6 science, 6 government, 11 math, and then we had 28 middle schoolers.
And you ran the whole program here, right, with the middle school and the high school kids?
Yep.
And what part of the building did you use for that?
The back, the hall that looks out over the field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. Oh, yeah.
Any questions from the board? No? From public?
I have a question for Ms. Jones, because it hasn't been a good time to ask, but can you tell us about these shirts?
Oh, sure,
Or would you tell us about them, please?
yeah. They don't have anything to do with the summer program, but I will.
I know, but your name came up earlier.
Yes, those shirts are part of our Oleas anti-bullying or bullying prevention program that's been around for 13 years now in East Helena schools, and each year the committee gets together and adopts a theme
that is then put on the shirts that students wear to assemblies and field trips and a variety of other activities. But you're a part of our team, so you each get a shirt too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can I add on one piece of that too? Just, okay, please. Just because like what Gus had said before, we just have a very supportive PTO, so our PTO actually covers the lion's share of those shirts for us, so they take a good portion of what we get from our big fundraiser in the fall, and they buy shirts for everybody, so.
Alright, well, with that, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 3, which is request for approval of the shuttle bus. Dan?
Yeah, so, what this item is the district has always, or tried to, ever since we went to grade level schools, that transition required us to revise our transportation situation in that every bus that comes into town, from their routes has kids in all grades in the district, so every bus has to stop at each school. So when we had to transition from neighborhood schools to grade level schools, traffic became an issue, and there was some hardship for some families getting their kids from, say, the Eastgate neighborhood to Radley School, or from the Radley neighborhood to Eastgate School. And so we realized we had open seats on buses, and we would allow those kids to get across town by just jumping on a bus, even though they weren't route kids, the bus was already going there anyway. And so they would shuttle across town, but they weren't route riders, there was no state reimbursement for them or anything like that. What's going on now is we got more students, and our buses are fuller than they used to be. And so the drivers are coming into town with a full load, they're getting to an elementary school, and maybe 10 or 15 kids get off, maybe even 20, and so they have seats open to take some shuttle kids, but we've got more kids that want to shuttle than we have capacity for on our buses. So what we've been talking about is, and we haven't really, we've talked about this in the past, Nick and Sean and I have, about adding a bus that his sole purpose is, or her sole purpose, whoever's driving the bus, is to just move kids across town. And we've never really been able to pursue it, one, because we've never had enough drivers to put a driver just on a bus to shuttle, and two, we haven't really had enough equipment, because we've typically had 2 to 3 spare buses, and there have been times during the year when we've needed all of them. But this year, last spring, we ordered a new bus, so we've got a brand new bus coming in this month, which should give us an extra spare bus that we could use for shuttling, and we, I don't know if I said it, but we're staffed up on drivers, and we actually even have a couple subs, so we can put one of the subs to work as a shuttle driver. So this role will be transportation, and it will be moving kids across town, but it doesn't qualify for state reimbursement, because all the kids that are gonna shuttle are within the 3-mile limit. It can be paid for out of the transportation fund, and we believe we have budget for it in the fund to cover it, and it's not gonna be a huge expense. We talked about it, Scott and Tyrell and I did when we were setting the agenda, that initially we wanna offer it in the afternoons, because that's when we have most of the congestion with traffic. And that could cost the district, or the transportation fund, about $50 a day for driver wages and a little bit for fuel. If we added the morning, that might be $100 a day. And so maybe $18,000 plus some benefits and fuel is what the shuttle bus will probably cost us for the year. But we believe that if we can get kids to ride it and get parents to use it instead of driving to each school, that they drop the kids off at one school and then 1 or 2 kids get on the shuttle bus and ride to the other school, that it'll cut down on traffic and just be more convenient for families. So that's one part of this, and the reason it's on the board agenda is it's an additional expenditure for the district, and it's not huge, but it's significant. I think the benefit far outweighs the cost, but the other part of it is we're taxing our taxpayers to pay for it out of the transportation fund. So we're asking for your support on that. The other part of it is, and we have done this in past years, is especially as winter kind of sets in and once the after-school program gets going full blast at Radley, we're gonna have kids at around 5 o'clock in the afternoon that need to get across town. And so it's pretty convenient for us, because usually our drivers are kind of wrapping up their duties around between 4:30 and 5, to keep one driver on for about an extra half hour to do what we call activity shuttle. So this is for kids, and this could be middle school or high school kids who have practice after school. They're done around 5, they could jump on the shuttle and catch a ride over to Eastgate, or to one of the other schools in town to do that. So I'm asking for approval for those 2 types of shuttling tonight. Nick worked out, and you can take one of these if you want, you don't have to, approximation of what the shuttle pickup times would be, morning and afternoon. He accidentally left Mountain View Meadows on here, so he must have been working off a other route. So that can kind of give you an idea how it'll work out. We're gonna have to play with it a little bit to get it dialed in. And one of the things that I have to work on with it is with the administrators is some of these pickup and drop off times are outside the time that we have normal supervision with the schools. So we'll have to see how we can deal with that, or if it's an issue. What's the other thing I was gonna say?
Do we have any
I think
issues
that's it.
with the county transportation?
No, because we're not adding a route.
Okay.
Or, I mean, not an over-the-road route. It's just going, it's our bus going to our campuses. We're using a legal approved school bus, but he's not making any drops like on municipal streets where he'd have to turn his reds on and stuff like that.
So if we add this, how difficult is it gonna be to retrain those kids to not just hop on bus 6 to go to the high school or
So,
whatever?
Nick and one of our new drivers are working on a registration system, so if kids wanna ride the shuttle, they're gonna register for the shuttle. And if they miss the shuttle, it's just like missing your bus. Because that's part of the issue that we've had with shuttling is just random kids getting on whatever bus they wanna get on. And they don't really have a lot of accountability with the driver, because the driver doesn't know who you are. So if you misbehave or you pick on somebody and then you get off the bus and walk away, the driver doesn't really have anything to report because he doesn't. And so that's why we're thinking that we're gonna have to do a registration so that the driver gets to know the kids and knows who to expect every day.
And then what if they're seasonal?
That could happen. And typically that's the way shuttling always works, is as soon as it gets cold out, everybody wants to shuttle. But that's kind of why we go back to the registration too. So even if they don't ride all the time, if they're registered, they would have a spot on the bus. Which can be frustrating to people, because then on nice warm days, the buses run half full because kids are walking or riding their bikes.
There was a bus down on Spokane last week for quite a while. Is that kind of
Well, it broke down. Yeah, he had I believe it was a overheating issue with it, so, and I think that bus is in the shop right now.
It's the shorter bus.
I think it was, yeah. That's all I got.
Well, certainly if we can reduce the number of cars coming to the campuses, that would help congestion. The traffic engineers, in me is going, yes, bus is good.
Is there a way to track that, do you think, Cheryl? Look at those numbers?
The traffic? Yeah, there is a way to do it. It's not terribly, well, there's the inexpensive way, which is someone sitting on the corner with a clicker, having one clicker for those going straight and one for turns or something like that, or writing it down. The other way is you can actually set a camera that can take counts, and you pay a service that will go through and actually read the video and provide you all that data, so.
They don't do the drive over things anymore?
They have those as well. Those are.
I mean, that's a little bit more newer school than the clicker.
The tougher part with those is they don't typically capture turns real well. So they don't, the cameras pick up the turns really well. So you can get, you know if you've got traffic going through versus the lefts, the rights. You can see how far queues go with the cameras. So you can see if there's 5 cars, 6 cars, 10 cars backed up. Whereas the traffic counters just shows pretty dumb on that standpoint. You can also classify if you've got buses, trucks, that kind of stuff, so you can really see what's going in where. So, yeah, there is a way to do it. It's probably to do this, it'd probably be about 20 grand to do it. Yeah.
And I think you'll get anecdotal data just from parents,
Mhm.
Yeah.
especially if it's convenience for them. And, you know, Radley School, well, and even Prickly Pear now and Eastgate School both sit either in a neighborhood or very close to a neighborhood that kids can walk home to from the school campus. So if we can get them from Radley to Eastgate and then they can walk home, that's super nice for families to be able to have that convenience. So I think that you'll hear from people that it's beneficial, at least I hope so.
Is there any comment from the public on shuttle bus? Okay, well, I would entertain a motion for approval of a shuttle bus as requested by the superintendent. A shuttle bus and an activity shuttle.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Stacy made the motion and Tiffany seconded. Are there any further comments from the board? From the public? Okay, I call the motion, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Now we get into policy. Come on, it's fun. Okay, so I think we'll wanna take these one at a time, just to make it simple. Is that good with you, Jill?
Sure.
Okay.
If anybody wants a copy, have it.
Do you have a hard copy?
Yeah.
You have pretty much.
Yeah.
Is it on?
Thank you, I got one.
Oh, I wasn't.
Do you need one, Mark?
Yeah, I guess I do.
Oh, actually, no, I
You're
do.
down.
There you go.
Oh,
Good? Did Mark get one?
I gave him mine, I do have printed.
yeah. She assumed I
Here,
could.
you can give one to Sean, because we're gonna have to ask
Oh,
you
my.
something about a particular policy. Yeah.
Alright, so we're good to go. Policy 1111.
Yeah, I don't have this one seems pretty simple, but it does drastically change the time frame in which a candidate must declare their candidacy for the school board.
Oh,
From 40 days to no sooner than 145 and no later than 85, so it almost doubles the,
yeah.
to almost 3 months before the election is the deadline to declare, so,
Note of that for
Yeah.
next-
What's the rationale behind that?
I'm trying to find my notes from Tony. I believe it was a change in law. What all these were. And he says, the bill, House Bill 406 changed the deadline for submission to the clerk, a declaration of intent. Yeah, so it was a legislative action. Not sure why.
Okay, are any questions on the additional language to policy 1111? Okay, then I accept a motion to accept on first reading.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion from Stacy.
Second.
Mark seconded. Any further comment from the board? From the public? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, next up is 2132.
So this policy is another family rights policy, again, related to legislation. I guess what I feel like this one does is it clarifies for us a little bit of this language around opt-in and opt-out for different surveys and screeners and actions that we take in the district. And that's the part on the page 1 in the red underline, basically telling us that surveys and data collections that do not gather personally identifying information, we can administer those on an opt-out basis. And surveys that do gather personally identified information are an opt-in basis. There's still a little gray area for me that we'll have to work through on the mental health screener, because it technically doesn't gather personally identifying information, but because it assigns a random number to the child before they take the survey. And then only the school has access to that information, but that still may be opt-in under the law. So I think we're gonna have to ask for clarification on that from the School Board Association. But otherwise, I think it looks good.
So A or B is not a option, it's just,
Right, it's two different situations. A is if this survey is not gathering information, the district can administer it on an opt-out basis. So an example of that would be like the YRBS survey, which is a DPHHS survey about attitudes regarding drugs, alcohol, suicidality, bullying. It doesn't ask kids anything that would identify them as who they are in the district. So, and that's always been an opt-out survey, it would continue to be an opt-out survey.
any questions on 2132? Okay, then I accept the motion to accept as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Great, Tristan,
I'll second.
Stacy's a second. Any questions or comments from the board? From the public? Okay, call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? Alright, motion carries, thank you. 3410. So 3410 is next, student health.
Yep, and this is, again, parent rights policy relates to health screenings, such as vision screenings. This one also addresses mental health screenings, again, related to legislation from the 25 session. The one here is parents will be notified in writing prior to any scheduled immunization. I don't know that we do any immunization of students at the school. That's done at your doctor's office, unless it's a flu shot clinic, and that would be something that parents bring their kids in for anyway. So I thought that was kind of an odd addition in there, but maybe that happens in other schools throughout the state, I don't know.
So on this one, it does say that for the mental health screening, it is an opt-out. So would that conflict with the other one, if that, for your gray area?
But that,
No, I think that should cover it, that should clarify.
yeah, it's gonna make it opt out. But it qualifies with personally identifiable information. Is that where you're looking right there, Stacy? Just,
Second.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the next paragraph, there's parents will be notified in writing prior to any mental health screening, analysis, survey, or data collection requiring the personally identifying information for students to know the right to opt out. So again, it's an opt out.
Just because it's mental health screening is
Yeah.
mentioned in it.
Yeah. I think it's consistent, the way it's written, because it, again, circles back to the personally identifying information. And that's, to me, that's the key piece of it.
But the opt-out is that it doesn't require personally identifiable information. Opt-in is that it requires personal identifiable information.
Still opt out if you.
I don't see an opt-in.
Yeah.
It's all opt-out here.
Both of them are opt out or not.
Aren't those, don't they have like personal identifying information?
Paragraph 3
And there's like a vision screening and hearing screening, like don't they?
But these specifically say mental health screening, both these paragraphs.
Yeah.
Notified in writing prior to any mental health screening.
I think you're good to go, there's your clarification on this one.
Right.
That's written by
School Board
School Board
Association.
Association.
Yeah.
So if it's wrong, it's.
Yeah, I think it's consistent, I'll double check it, I'm comfortable with it. Kind of seeing double right now.
Do we have to include the immunization part if we don't offer it? Or since we don't offer it?
I could ask. And if you want to do it that way, that's fine, I would suggest tabling this one. And giving me a chance to ask on that point. I mean,
I just
Personally, I
want
don't
that.
think it matters if it's in there because it's not something that we do,
Sure.
so it really doesn't apply to us anyway.
Do you see an uproar on that, being like, oh, you guys are doing organizations now?
But I hope not.
I don't think
It's
so,
only if
that's,
they read the policy.
but what's the,
Just a question, are all of these legislative mandated?
That is, yeah, that is the nature of this policy pack that we got
So
from
what
Tony.
are, what are our choices? I mean,
That's the question that we ask almost every time, is we really don't have one. This
Yeah.
relates to, this policy relates to House Bill 599, which revised the list of parental rights set forth in statute. And you're right, so we have to comply with state law anyway.
right.
Right.
Well, so we do have one, we could just not adopt it.
You could,
You could just,
Yeah, you
you could
could.
just table it and just.
You could just say like, I don't know, it's a state law anyway.
it's like, I think Terrell said that once last year, we could just have one policy that says we'll comply with state law. And
yeah, they covered a lot of our stuff, although if we don't have this policy, I think then the lawyers at MTSBA, they may not offer the same legislative, or not legislative, but legal covering.
Support, right?
Yeah.
They're not gonna, well, if we don't follow the policy, they're not gonna do anything anyway, so we don't follow state law, they're not gonna do anything.
Right, it's in some of their emails, they're like, if you choose to adopt a
Yeah.
policy or not, like,
Yeah.
they make it
Try
sound
to
like
read
an
that.
That's
option.
pretty typical. I don't care how we wanna do this, if you wanna table it, or, I mean, deleting stuff that isn't really used by the district, I don't think is a big deal under second reading, so you could either way, if you wanted to have it in place next time around. It's
Comfortable with
kinda
either.
what the board wants.
Well, you could always write in there, East Helena Public Schools does not do scheduled immunizations. You could add that on there, like, we don't do this. And then if a parent gets in there and is like, what about my immunization, and you're like, well, that doesn't apply.
Who wants to, Stacy?
I'm okay with passing it, and then if we decide on second to take it out, if that's feasible, just to move it along.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
and we could revise it on second reading.
Yeah, we could,
That's true.
if, I think a deletion is better than an addition, especially something that we don't do, so. If you can get clarification on that,
Yeah,
one, bring
I will.
it back for second.
Will do.
So I would make a motion to pass 3410 as is with clarification of what we talked about.
Yep, sounds good.
Fair enough, Jill?
I couldn't hear what you said.
I'm making a motion to,
Table it.
No.
to
Accept.
accept 3410 as is with Dan giving clarification on the immunization.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Tristan seconds. Is there any further comment from the board? Any comment from the public? Okay, with that, I'll call a motion, please indicate yay by saying aye.
You took the long way around.
I think there's a policy coming up about that.
Yeah. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Scott does this really smooth, that is not my strong point. Alright, see if I can keep you on your toes. Okay, next up is 3510.
This one, we have to make a choice, right?
Yes, we do. So we have optionals on page 2.
So we have to choose between option B and option C, or neither,
Or both.
or both. Scott sent a note on this one that he preferred option B, but also could live with option C. Just curious about other people's thoughts, and Sean, I was gonna lean on you to weigh in on this one too, because it addresses 8th grade participation.
But what I like about the C option is that each one of our programs decides if they're gonna have it, we won't cut a high school kid to bring an 8th grade kid up. So I think with C, that gives us the option for our coaches to determine if they're gonna look at 8th graders or not. I think that's the biggest factor, just because if you're an 8th grader and you play a sport, doesn't mean you're gonna automatically come to high school. That's how I feel, I mean, the other one makes it sound like they have every right to take a place of a high school kid, you know, to try out, and I think that should not be the case,
You mean if you went through enrolled in grades 8 through 12?
yeah.
So strike B altogether and include C?
That's what I would do.
Can I ask for clarification and then maybe an addition? So it says consistent with this policy and MHSA rules. So within MHSA rules, our own school policies as far as like grades and all of that, is that part of MHSA rules or is that just our own stuff? Like I wanna make sure that those 8th graders also have that standard of keeping up with academics.
Oh.
So I don't know if that's an addition that we wanna add to that it's also consistent with policy of MHSA rules and school standards, or however you wanna word it, or if that's already an automatic because of the MHSA rules.
It's in our handbook as well.
If you're that good at sports in 8th grade, who cares about it?
Because you're going pro.
You're going pro.
I don't need to read. So what if it said, consistent with this policy, school handbooks and MHSA rules, and then it covers our eligibility, our own internal eligibility? Is that, and if we say school handbooks and not get specific to either high school or middle school, depending on what grade the child is, they're gonna have to comply with their school's handbook.
Can't you just see the parent be like,
Is
no,
that-
it doesn't apply?
Do you live with that, Sean?
Yeah.
In shape, so I do have a question about the BC, should we leave B in there and just say 9 through 12? So it identifies 9 through 12 as like the high
Oh.
school activities. Then C is that optional addition for the 8th graders. So I do know there's some, I know of an 8th grader that enjoyed playing, it was the track, and he did a great job. So that was a great opportunity, so I don't wanna take that away, obviously, but, do we need the D to just specify, hey, this is primarily 9 through 12, but the C is that optional, so you get kind of the best of both worlds? Cause if we don't have the B, is it implied anywhere, or, I mean, or is that in MHSA rules that it says 8 through 12 or 9 through 12? I mean, so that we don't have the 8th grader being able to just take the place, so that's where if you had both, 9 through 12 is your primary, here you go, no problems. C, in accordance with these steps, you can get an 8th grader. I don't know, it seems to me like that's more clarity, that there's no gray area for, well, it's always
Seems
8th
additive
grader.
to me.
Yeah, I would agree too.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think that's fine to do it that way. Because C just creates the option or opportunity.
Creates that opportunity.
But it's not a blanket.
Yep,
Blanket
so
off.
we're gonna add student handbooks to
Just
C,
fix the word grades to grades,
and
enroll in grades.
grades, and we're gonna strike out 8 through 12, is
Yeah.
everybody good through that, and then we'll keep B? Okay. Alright, so, make a quick note, keep B and C. We're gonna add handbook to C, right?
Yep.
B remains 9 through 12. Perfect. Is there anything else?
No, there's some language about homeschool kids down below, just stating that they have to be a United States citizen and resident of Montana. That should not be an issue.
Biological sex,
Yeah.
number 5.
Yeah.
So I had a comment, so if we're good with B and C, if we scroll down to where it says athletic teams or sports designated for females, women, or girls may not be open to students of the male sex, I would like to change that to shall not. Is that, I don't know, maybe I'm getting over
No,
semantics.
your syntax is more correct, absolutely.
So, it's because,
Or are not.
Or will not, yeah.
May not.
so,
Okay, so here.
right here at the top of the
Good catch.
page, it says may not, and that implies it's possible, or at least to me, it implies possibility.
It's
I
weird
seen that
right?
too, I thought,
That's probably legislative, that's
happening?
probably why they did it. Cause they can't write.
Or just trust to stay open.
I mean, I get what the intent is, but I think that really makes it clear.
You can just say are not.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, under, student organizations, 1A, how are we gonna know if we have secret and clandestine organizations? Number one, and then second, if we find out about them, they're no longer secret and thus then excluded from the rule. So,
That's in
I
our
mean, it's-
current policy.
this is kind of, just gonna say, like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And if anyone has any,
Would you like me to send that up to NTSB?
yeah, let them know, let them know. How do you have any suggestions on ferreting out secret organizations? And then if they are secret and are found out, do they no longer covered by the rule?
Yeah, they're not secret anymore.
I just wanna point
They
that.
might still be clandestine.
Yeah, that could be. But if we recognize it, that's, like, who comes up with this?
Legislators.
Is there any further comment on, what is this, 3510?
510.
Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion to accept 3510 as amended.
Make a motion.
Tristan made the motion.
Second.
Mark seconded.
No, that's
Any further comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Okay, with that, I call the questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. What's next?
1210.
Okay, get there. 1210, qualifications, terms, duties of board officers. Oh, yay.
So this one revises that language to clarify the role that the board chair can play in the meeting. Scott's note to Tyrell and I is that he would prefer the policy adopted with that recommended new language. So he's not excluded from being able to make a motion or a second.
That's been our policy in the past, is
Yeah.
that we have allowed the may instead of the may not.
The status quo would be.
Accepting the
Accepting
language.
it,
Yep, it's just new language, saying the same thing.
Make a motion to approve 2110, or, sorry, 1210.
Yeah.
Okay, got a motion and a second from Tristan.
Yep.
Are any further comments from the board? Okay, further comments from the public? Seeing none, call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
We can take the vote for the vice president.
I'm running then. Good luck on handing the gavel to you. Okay, next up is policy 1310, district policy and procedures.
So this one, we just have to make an option, a choice as to how many readings of policy we want, essentially. Scott recommends option 2, which I believe would be consistent with our practice,
That is correct,
which
yeah.
would require 2 readings.
You don't wanna go to 3?
Well,
I'm kidding, I don't wanna go to 3.
We could go to 1.
No, I do want
The only question I have here is to make sure that we're covered under any kind of emergency action if we had to enact policy under a single reading for a situation that we are covered there. I'm good with going with 2 and hopefully that's covered elsewhere.
yeah, and I can ask about that.
If not, we may have to pull it back to 1 if unless the addition is very
Says the
simple.
changes by admin rule may be adopted after the first reading if sufficient notice has been given in board agenda.
Where's that?
Right at the
The
end of
bottom
2.
of 2.
And they're always on our agenda, right?
Okay, what about, yeah, so it's right in there, so good, thank you. What about, declarations of emergency? Do we need to have that in there?
Oh, boy.
It wasn't in our first part,
Wasn't?
that's stricken out.
What's weird is you can suspend it, but you can't enact it.
But even like for emergency board meetings, he has to give notice within a certain period of time by
Well,
state law.
Yeah, a good example was the COVID situation where we enacted a very large set of policies in a single reading. So based on the governor's declaration and comment, or, requested actions at the time. And so that would be the only thing, is if we're good under the definition for administrative rule, or I guess if you're okay with that, if you wanna be broad in that definition, that I'm good with it.
The other thing is, we could do anything with notice, that doesn't have to be in policy. I haven't seen policy.
Right.
Could be a guideline.
Yeah.
Okay, option 2, I'm good with that.
I'll make a motion to accept 1310 under option 2.
Second.
Okay, motion by Stacy, second by Tristan. Any further comment from the board? Any comment from the public? Okay, I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 1310 pass. And next is 1700. Getting closer.
I thought this was our last one.
Nope, there's 6.
Oh, one more.
Okay, so uniform complaint procedure.
So these are recommended amendments from MTSBA that they say clarifies our uniform complaint procedure.
So, I ran into this today, actually, I was talking to somebody at OPI, and they were saying, so is this the one that like goes to the county superintendent eventually?
Yes.
And so my question was like, do we deal with it at all? I don't even.
Not very frequently.
Okay, and I couldn't, it looks like it's employment, but or does it specifically?
It can be anything.
Okay, it's anything.
Other than Title IX.
Title IX is different.
Yeah, and, cause we just addressed that last spring.
But it has to be predicated on a right.
Right, and basically it just articulates a chain of command for dealing with the complaint. And then dealing with the complaint, if you're complaining about someone or something that's part of the chain of command. So it specifies how you're gonna manage that. That's the paragraph on the first page, right?
I guess my general thought was if we don't deal with it much, the easiest thing to do and perhaps the most efficacious thing to do would be to adopt it as they say, so that they can guide us through the process.
Yeah.
Because this is a place where
Yeah,
you would rely on
we
it.
would lean on them pretty heavy, you're right.
Yeah.
I would agree.
My only comment on the language that we have is right above where it says level 3 superintendent. There it says policy 3225P. That should probably be changed to procedure. It's just kind of an editorial, but we don't have a policy 3225P. It's in our
Procedures, right,
manual.
right. I don't see it though.
So level 3, right
There,
there. I guess if there's any more in there, I'd check for those. I think I caught another one in the next one as well.
It certainly satisfies the first part of any complaint procedure, which is make it really onerous. Long and involved.
It's gonna take you a week to read the policy.
Yeah, you'll have cooled off by the time you figure out where to find it.
This.
Okay, do we have any further questions or comments? Okay, then I entertain a motion to accept 1700 on first reading as amended.
I'd make a motion to accept 1700 on first reading as amended.
Okay, Martin?
Second.
Mark? Okay, any further comment from the board? Any comment from the public? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. And 3612 is the next one. School provided access to electronic information services, equipment and networks. Oh, AI, that's right. So same comment about policy versus procedure, the red text.
Yep.
Can we also put a space between Riley and the?
Yep. Space and procedure.
Another English teacher. questions, further questions, comments from the board on the policy?
Hard one, of course.
Great.
Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to accept 3612 as amended.
I'll make that motion to accept 3612 as amended.
Okay, Tiffany
Second.
and Tristan. Okay, any further comment from the board? Any further comment from the public? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries, thank you. Policy is done.
I ran out of them.
So it's outdated before they even began, it sounds like somebody like my age wrote it. Uploading a worm, a virus, or other harmful.
All right, and next up is the superintendent request for out-of-state travel.
Okay, this is, just trying to get a head start, requesting permission and approval from the board to travel to the National Association for School Superintendents, the AASA conference. I was approved to go in 2025, last spring, this is 2025, right? However, at the last minute, I didn't book any flights or anything because my wife decided to schedule her knee replacement that same week. So it seemed like maybe I should stick around. So I didn't leave town. So I'm hoping that I can get approval to go this year. And if you think I'm asking just because it's in Nashville this year, that's probably part of it because I've never been there before.
Do you need a chaperone?
Nashville. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. It doesn't say, I put the little flyer in here. It's all right. Yeah, it doesn't say what hotel it's at.
I went to Nashville prepared to hate it and loved it, thought it was like the
Yeah.
coolest place I've ever been.
Yeah, I've heard, so, good year to go.
All right, well, is there any questions from the board? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to approve superintendent's request for out-of-state travel.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Tristan,
I'll second.
Tiffany, seconded. Okay, are there any further questions or comments from the board? Any questions or comments from the public? Okay, with that, I call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Good luck, Dan.
Thanks, you guys, appreciate it.
All right, and with that, the next regular meeting is Monday, October 13th at 5:30 at East Valley Middle School, and I will call us adjourned. Thank you.
One of our chairs. You did a great
Is
job.
that right?
Like, so what time do you
Did a
get
great
home?
job.
Maybe one of these times we ought to.
It's like, do you guys go to the bird house too while you're at it? Linda.